just going to try to get inside the main. Far too many turrets there, I think, to really bother to come in from the right side, because their entry and exit are going to take a lot of fire, and clearing those turrets out won't really be that beneficial for him. Still kind of readjusting himself at this natural. Finally, Science Vessel out, so we are going to start seeing some siege. Kwanro is going to be forced back across the bridge for a little while. Meanwhile, getting his hive tech out, waiting on that defiler. Having those 2 evolution chambers up, so I'm not really quite sure. I'm going to, as soon as I get, going to check. It does have Carapace 1. Wondering whether he has weapons upgrades on his Zerglings alongside. I'm not quite sure on that yet. Mutalisk still flying around. Still going to go for the natural expansion. There are those turrets there again. We're going to see we're actually going to try to go for it again. Tanks finally across the bridge. Going to start pushing, firing at those lurkers, though, because they're trying definitely to break the contain. Mutalisk going to try to come in into the main from the north side, but there are 2 turrets there. Very early preemptive turrets from Bogus. So he definitely has a nice turret position, but I honestly feel it wasn't quite, just because he didn't support it with enough troops on the ground. He still took a lot of economic hits early on. Science was coming out, radiating the Mutalisks. Late split, very late split from Kwanro. So he actually takes a lot of damage from 2 of those Mutalisks. Very heavily damaged Mutalisks for him right now. They're not going to be as effective as he would have wanted, but he still has a bunch of forces on the ground. Has some Scourge in the air, waiting on that Defiler. I feel as soon as he has the Defiler, he's going to be in business. He has so many forces on the ground. He doesn't really want to engage. He actually is going to engage. Lurkers from all sides. Scourge going to come in, gonna take down the Science Vessel. Lurkers, Mutalisks, and all those Zerglings going to come in, try to engage most of the tanks. One single tank is not gone down. Even more Lurkers coming in to support all these medic Marines being ripped to pieces. Tank also going to go down, and most of Bogus' forces have been completely crushed. He was actually trying to run up towards the 11:30 o'clock, but now Lurkers at all position, medic Marines, are just going to sit around, not going to be able to do much. They're going to get completely surrounded by these Lurkers. Scourge is going to come in, not really going to find any victims, because the Science Vessels have been taking out. Finally, some Firebats coming out just to intercept that Defiler man that's going to be coming in, but Kwanro's already expanded the lower left-hand position. He's decimated Bogus' army twice already. Especially the larger one here is much bigger count. He still has more reinforcement coming in. Cracklings are in play at the moment. I think that was a Defiler that was taken out. No, there's a Lurker that was irradiated. But so many Lurkers on the ground for... Oh, man, so many Lurkers. With this many Lurkers on the ground for Kwanro, he's just going to be... Bogus is going to be in a lot of trouble here. Yet again losing, running all his forces, getting them surrounded on all sides. They're going to get completely killed. Double digits of Lurkers, and Nidus Canal is actually going to be put down now by Kwanro. She's completely out macroing Bogus at the moment. Bogus really wants to expand, but he really can't. He doesn't have enough forces to defend at the moment. Has a couple of Science Vessels who's going to start irradiating, but he might want to save those irradiates. So many Lurkers on the ground, you don't really want to waste your irradiates on them. You want to wait until those Defilers come out and start irradiating them, so those that become too effective. Kwanro! Oh, Lurkers from the north and the west. Oh, God. Did you spot the half a second delay in my voice before I said west? Yeah, that shows that English isn't my native language. Occasionally these words just kind of slip out of your head. But Kwanro again has a contain on Bogus here. Going to have a bunch of Zerglings moving and actually killing a random SVD just standing around there. Oh no! Ultra's Cavern, the follow round is up. Ultra's Cavern on the way, and on these 4 bases, going to have its 4th gas up. He's going to be able to produce Ultra's at a large rate pretty quickly and just completely crush Bogus, yet again killing some units that are out on the ground. Bogus trying to irradiate some of these Lurkers and getting Vultures out in the field with some mines. This should have been forthcoming edge to go. Scourge to come and pick off a Science Vessel. Bogus actually was moving, readjusting his force a little bit, moving them away from danger. And in the process, got one of his Science Vessels picked off. Some of those Lurkers finally dying. Science Vessel coming in across. He's going to try to move out a little bit. Has some forces from the south side. He might actually manage to at least clear these forces up. Is going to manage to do that. Not really losing much at all while clearing up this contain. But Kwanro, yeah, he is in the middle of teching right now. Getting his gas up, getting his production up to be able to support Ultrarisks. So he wasn't investing too heavily in troops at that very second. Only producing Zerglings at the moment, so you can tell that he's saving up his gas. Does have some Defilers out in the field, so wondering, he still has a bunch of Lurkers out in the field as well, so he's just waiting for an attack to happen so he can get Consume out there. Finally, some Consume's going to go. We're going to see some Dark Swarms. Another Science Vessel going down. Almost managed to take out another one. Does manage to take out another one with a random Scourge that kind of flew in from the left side. This medic means, of course, completely useless against forces on Dark Swarm. Irradiate does go against the Defiler, but we're going to see who actually manages to get one other Dark Swarm off before it dies. It does manage to do that, or at least giving Kwanro a slightly more forward position against Bogus. Bogus still on those 2 bases. Horrible position. Does have 2 starports up alongside 5 Raxes, but producing from that, he can't produce tanks because he's only on those 2 bases. He cannot produce tanks alongside Yeah, he cannot produce tanks alongside those silences. And it does have 4 armor on those ultras, only 1 attack, but still, they're already pretty large force to be reckoned with. Don't take that much damage. Are going to get irradiated, at least one of them. But still, alongside those Zergings to support, are going to be able to do a lot of damage. Going into this 6 o'clock, as that command center was going to float up, this is going to get cleaned up very quickly. A bunch of those ACV might die alongside. Kwanro losing forces basically on all sides, everywhere. A bunch of those ACVs are actually going to get saved thanks to some marine timing coming in for Bogus. But Kwanro being allowed to get up a large number of ultras at the moment. Doesn't have that many yet, but he's going to be able to get a large number. There you go, even more ultras coming in to support with ultra defowers and zerglings, even some lurkers out in the field. Kwanro's just going to be able to bulldoze at this point. That 6 o'clock, it's going to be in a pretty bad position. Mines all over the place. They are doing some splash to those ultras. A little bit of damage helps, but still don't think it's enough to bring Bogus back in this game. Kwanro going to expand yet again with all those letters coming off across the screen. Not quite sure what position that was. Bogus has managed to meanwhile get down to 6 o'clock, put down bunker there, and a heavy amount of force to try to defend that, but I'm not sure how long it's going to. Scourge coming in, something flying by, can take down only 1 single sense, so the ultras coming in across on the ramp. It's going to get killed. Running up the ramp like that, you don't really want to do that far back first. Irradiate and go off, and that's going to allow the ultras to actually come and do some damage to the ground forces. It is going to die though. Kwanro kind of wasting a few of his ultras there. Really just wants to go for a Dark Swarm Zergling rush, pretty much what you want to do. Coming in with a bunch of Zerglings with Dark Swarm support, but not enough farbats to really help against that. I feel Bogus definitely desperate to take that base down. Quantum, he is taking down the 9 o'clock, spotted that off the minimap this time. And he's going to be 5 bases against Bogus' 3, and Bogus still heavily behind. Irradiating more ultras, still managed to keep up a decent amount of science, so it's partially keeping him in the game, but it just doesn't have the forces, doesn't have the medic marines on the ground to really fight Kwanro off. Kwanro has been getting that base, still waiting on a larger ultralisk army, but still with those defilers to support, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage, just whittling down the forces of Bogus, and especially if he manages to go towards the 6 o'clock and finish it off, that's going to be it for Bogus. Wondering whether it's actually going to want to penetrate the natural expansion. The natural of Bogus is still mining. The main is pretty much dead at this point, but the 6 o'clock is fully mining for him as well. But Kwanro moving in across all sides, actually going to expand the upper right hand, so he's pretty much going to allow himself to expand heavily all across the map. Bogus is not really going to be able to afford to do any sort of economic harassment. He just wants to get his own base up, try to compete that way. If he goes for a dropship and tries to go for a drop, that's going to be a lot of his forces that really needs on the ground to try to go for any sort of harassment. Or just using those vultures might actually be smart. Actually, instead is just going to fight those vultures there and die. But running those around, put some mines all over the place like he's doing there, getting all of his ultras irradiated yet again, that's a big help. But still, also his defilers, but still, if he managed to maybe get some vultures at that upper right hand, spot it out, kill some drones here and there, maybe at the 9 o'clock as well, he might at the very least delay his defeat and maybe even get back into the game if Kwanro really messes up, but I really don't think that's going to be forthcoming. Kwanro doesn't have as large an army as I would expect from him at this point, but putting up Dark Swarms all over the place, getting his forces up, still has a constant stream of reinforcements and ultras. Scourge going to come in, nice! Oh, look at that cloning, 3 science cells come down. That's a big boon for Kwanro, because the science cells at this point has been really the main thing that's been holding him back. Science vessels with their radiates of the ultralisks, and the defilers, but at this point he's not going to have as many radiates. Moving in with Zerglings alongside, just has those Dark Swarms where he wants them. Ultras at this point have 5 armored weapons too, and as soon as this Bogus still on weapons 2 and armor 1, I think. So Kwanro heavily ahead in upgrades as well. He's just going to be able to hit him heavy. Still hitting the 6 o'clock with very few forces, forcing Bogus to really do a lot of repairing. Some Marines coming in to support. Dark Swarm! There's a defiler there! Oh. Wondering whether it actually managed to get a Dark Swarm. A few more forces are going to force into that. One Marine, meanwhile, at the 9 o'clock, going to try to kill as many drones as he can. Mines all over the place. Zerg is actually engaging those, so the Ultras don't take the brunt of the force. Finally, GG from Bogus. He knew that was over at that point. Kwanro dominating. So he's 1 win away from getting himself yet again pretty far into an MSL. We're going to see what happens. So, yeah, Kwanro just Bogus allowing that Mutalisk. I still feel that Mutalisks, those early Mutalisks were what allowed, kind of became the catalyst to what allowed Kwanro to transition into what he wanted to transition to. I feel he still played a little bit sloppy, not at his best. Not at his best. If he wants to move on to the round of 8 and play against much stronger versus Zerg players than Bogus, he's gonna have to step up his game a little bit. So GG guys, wrenching out. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy.